I took a partial vote. You're here too now.
Yes.
All right, so. And Pat, you're gonna play the telecommunications coordinator here, I take it.
Yeah, but I wasn't gonna sit here and watch everything
That's quite all right.
unless you want me to.
Okay, Pat.
We're mildly entertaining.
And Rocky's here. I don't see anybody else dialing in tonight. So we'll call the meeting to order at 6:36. The first order is to really call for any motion to adopt or modify the agenda. I think Carolyn, you want to,
Oh, I was just gonna, poor Allison is here from Treehouse and instead of.
we already
being-
said hi.
Yeah, instead of being the last person on the agenda, I was hoping we could move her up after minutes and
Yeah.
do her first, if that was okay with everybody.
Anybody
then
have a
she can
problem
have
with
the
that?
rest-
No,
Then she'd have the
Okay.
rest of the meeting
No
free.
problem.
done.
Okay,
Thank you.
First order of the business is to approve the minutes from May 5th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented,
Wasn't it May 9th?
Yeah, exactly.
May 9th. What did you say, Peter?
That was I.
From our
Phil.
last- Oh.
Oh, that's what's at the top of the minutes, so. Oh, wait
should
a
be
minute.
May 9th.
Oh, it is May 9th. I'm in error. Well, we didn't have a meeting, so we can't approve the minutes. All right, May 9th. Any additions or deletions? No, okay.
I vote we approve the minutes.
Carol and I.
Can we do it with a 3 and 3?
I mean,
We got 6 members on the committee. We have a quorum at 3, or do we need 4?
You're really supposed to.
Peter, to technically, you need a majority of the people that were actually in that meeting to approve those minutes. And I think you have it.
we're unanimous.
Okay,
So we're unanimous.
yes. All right, Allison, you're on.
No pressure. Okay, so thank you guys for inviting me to the meeting today. I'm excited to join you and talk about the 350th celebrations. Summer is coming quickly, and now that the cold weather is behind us, hopefully, and my plants can survive again. I'm excited for the parade that you guys have and the fireworks. And Treehouse is excited that, a lot of our events that we had, ideas for are aligning with the 350th celebrations for Deerfield. And one of those events would be an inaugural half marathon that we are hoping to host in the fall in Deerfield. The course would only be run through Deerfield. So we are asking that, we can celebrate that 350th with you guys, have it maybe be added onto your event calendar. And if you guys would love to have a sign at the event or somewhere along the course, we'd be more than happy to do that.
I thrilled. What date? I think it was September 17th. Is that correct, Allison?
That is correct. It is a Sunday morning, September 17th. We had initially hoped for the 24th, but we were told that is your craft fair. So we knew that would definitely be mayhem.
And is this something that you would advertise in turn, that this is a 350th event?
So we would have the 350th signage at the event.
And you would do all the advertising and all expenses, right, Allison?
Exactly. No expenses incurred on behalf of the 350th. Treehouse will be footing the bill there, but we're excited, like I said, that the 350th is coinciding with the year that we would like to do a half marathon, and we think it could be a really great event on your calendar as well as ours.
Do a lap around the cake.
Perfect. Like, I'll join you for that one. There's no way I'm getting 13 miles in.
I was gonna say, I think that's about 13, that's about 1,000 laps around the cake, isn't it, or something like that?
Might be a little busy, but
What time is it gonna start, Allison?
the hope is 9 a.m. So that way, I guess fast people can complete the marathon within about an hour. So that would be a more acceptable time to potentially have beer. But the original plan was 8, but I think we're aiming for 9, and we've been coordinating with the local police and fire to make sure that there are appropriate safety precautions and road closures and things like that where appropriate.
Okay,
And I think the road closures would end around 1 p.m.
okay.
Diane?
Have you picked a route yet?
Yes, at least I hope. The route would take us, I believe, just to try to explain to the best of my knowledge, out from the brewery onto Route 5 for a brief period down toward the center, where we would cut across town toward the Sunderland Bridge, going up to River Road, which would be closed off, up River Road, and then down to North Hillside to make the loop back.
I already told Allison that the permitting with DOT is really not good, but we don't even have a permit for our parade yet, and nor the cake. So just get in line with the permit. So the Board of
So I've
Selectmen,
heard.
so I told Allison that if the steering committee voted to support this as a 350 event on the calendar, then we would, as a select board, would put this on the agenda to write a letter of support, which is one of the permit requirements for DOT. So if one of you want to make a motion, or I can make the motion to support this 350th marathon, half marathon
Yes,
on our
that cake would be
calendar.
really dizzying.
Yeah, half marathon on our calendar for September 17th. I'll make,
Gonna,
So what's the formal motion? I'm just writing it down.
that the steering committee would support putting the Treehouse 350th half marathon on our calendar. With the understanding that Treehouse is incurring all the expenses for advertising and police and all that kind of associated costs. I will mention one thing that Allison told me with this is that they have already signed a contract with the company that does the Boston Marathon. So it's really will be well done. So I think most of the concerns that we might have will be addressed. You know, that company is certainly one of the best.
Yes, and we also, you know, if anybody in the town, you know, police, select board, what have you, that company is more than happy to come answer questions. So, but you know, we're working with them to make sure it's as smooth for you and us as possible.
All right, motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Hi, Diane.
Hi, Carolyn. Peter. Great.
Peter?
Well, Allison, thank you.
Before Allison leaves, I just want to say something. I've been collaborating with Treehouse on the whole fireworks thing for many months. And Mike McKenna over there, just easy to work with, very collaborative. They've done a great job. And we're talking to each other about leading up to that weekend of the 17th, 18th of June. So everything's in place, and they've been a great supporter financially, but also logistically and collaboratively.
Yes, I can't give Mike enough thanks, and I'm glad you're having, you know, a very easy time working with him. We're very excited for the fireworks, and you know, he's our event guy, and you know, he's been knocking it out of the park. So I appreciate that praise, and I will make sure he knows it. And you know, I appreciate, like I said, you guys working with us for the events that we are planning, and we're excited to be on your calendar for the 350th. So thank you. And if there's anything that comes up, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. And we just want to make Deerfield an exciting place for everybody.
Thank you.
Allison, could I just ask you to quickly or just briefly send me a copy of what you're titling the marathon and the basic information, and I can include
Sure.
that and incorporate that in the notes.
Absolutely, yeah. So I will. I can send you what the half marathon is titled. Do you want a logo or anything, or does that matter?
I don't think the logo matters so much, but I mean, that's what we just voted to support. So the best definition of what we've just decided on, I think is a good idea just to put within the notes.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll look at the actual wording that we use, just so I don't say anything that's incorrect now, and I will send an email over to you if that works.
Yep, that's fine. Thank you.
And
Allison,
Peter, just so you know, we have their official logo too. So if we have to do anything, I have the official artwork.
Good.
Awesome.
and Allison, when you start as you're doing the permitting process, if you could send over the request, referencing the request for our agenda next week, that will be great for the select board.
For the select board.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Letter of support. It would be whatever reference you're using on the permit.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
A little homework for me, but I appreciate the
Well,
calendar
we're gonna-
ad, and again, thank you for bumping me up. I wouldn't have minded waiting, but like I said, I'm okay being bumped up to the top too.
You going to the concert tomorrow night, Allison?
What's that?
Are you going to the concert tomorrow night?
I wish. No. So I live 2 hours away from Deerfield, unfortunately.
I'll be there.
So she was glad.
All right, you'll be my eyes and ears.
She
Let
was
me know
glad
how it was.
she was glad we had a virtual meeting tonight.
I love going up to Deerfield, but I wasn't mad to save a little gas.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again. Okay, next item on the agenda, mural update. Carolyn, you were going to check, and I have some. other
Yes,
comments.
I reached out to Judith, and we have brick facade on our town hall, the current town hall. But so I think it's important to have it in a frame. And so it's going to be a little bit more heavy, but Kevin thinks that we can figure it out. And then if we do fix up and renovate the 1888 building as a new town hall, we can actually then move it over to the new town hall, or leave it if we do the current town hall as the senior center or whatever. Anyway, we have some options. So I think it will work in the area that you enter into the town hall. There's a bench there, and there's two brick walls that would fit the 3x4. I think it will work. Judith wanted to have a meeting so she could get input from town. And basically I told her that it's really tough getting a meeting together in the summer, that you would have balanced input. So I told her to talk to Peter, and that, different people on the steering committee she could reach out to get more ideas. And so Peter, she actually did call Peter. And so I think that whole thing is going to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I talked to her for over an hour. In terms of basically her project working in ceramics and what she does, but mostly it was trying to get thoughts about what things to incorporate, she might incorporate into that mural. And so I think where we finally wound up after I started back at 12,000 BC, talking about or incorporating Native Americans, the Yankee colonialism, the immigrants into a broad brush concept somehow, but she's got a lot of information about any number of things. And with basically 400 generations of Native Americans and 10 generations of everybody else. And between talking about immigrants and then agriculture and some industry and settlements and everything else, she's got a lot of initial ideas about what's gone on in Deerfield. So she was going to take those and then draft a conceptual scheme of things, of some ideas. And then she's going to come back to the steering committee with that and get feedback. And if we choose to put that out for a wider audience, that's okay too. But she will come up with an initial concept or design and then come back to us for input and support or changes or recommendations or whatever. No time frame, but I would think a couple of months is probably realistic before she's coming back. But it was a good conversation. She was very pleased. She said, "You've given me a whole bunch of ideas to work with and sort of a scheme in here about what are we talking about overall." So I think we'll, as we've set out in the steering committee, to be sort of all encompassing and not focus on one element or not. And I'm really intrigued to see what she thought. She could come up with some good ideas in terms of how to represent that kind of continuity and inclusiveness. So I think that's all I really have to report right now. But she seemed very pleased and felt that she could take it, at least initially, and craft something that we could then respond to.
I looked online and her work is really, really attractive. So I was pretty excited about it. So if she was interested in doing that, that's fantastic. So
Well, one of the things she told me is that she'd done a lot of work in Texas and in California, I think, but large scale works. And now she's sort of retiring. And so that's why the 3x4 ceramic.
I think the 3x4s are very attractive.
I do too.
And
Um,
I think it's very, and she
Yeah.
was willing to work with the cultural council and local banks and stuff and raise the money to, for it. So it would not come from our 350th pot. So that was very wonderful too. She'd worked with some, different communities already and cultural councils. So it's not, her work has been supported. So I think this will be very exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. Just as an aside, I was up in Shelburne last weekend, and there's another artist who also works in ceramic murals. And 3 of the buildings up in Shelburne Falls have roughly 3x4 murals, but for different towns. One's for Shelburne, and there's 2 more that for adjacent towns up there. So they're really pretty.
Yeah.
Her medium is the medium's the same, but her style is different. I talked to her about that. Anyway, so I think we can look forward to a good product and something that'll last beyond the 350th. All right, next one up is Diane, I believe. Do you have any updates for the bicycle ride and the safety?
Oh, I think Diane.
You're muted.
Quiet.
There you go.
I had talked to the people or reached out to the people that will be doing it. They're on vacation for the month of June, to which my last words were, "See you in July." And we're gonna go from there to see what happens, but they're gonna be on vacation or holiday or whatever. But I have nothing more to report at the present time.
Okay.
I think it would be fine to do that in the summer, end of July or August.
Well,
Diane.
a quick thought would be a July, August, every other week. The length of the rides would be depending on who the people are.
Mhm.
And we discussed a little of that, but yeah, that would be we're
Okay,
still developing the idea, and there's already a group that meets on Sunday mornings or has previously worked on written on Sunday mornings. Last fall, I believe it was last fall they did writing, so they were the ones I reached out to, but it's, it's still a moving forward. I have nothing yet to say other than what I just said, of course, but but that's it.
Good, thanks. Time capsule update.
I believe I have not located it personally yet, but I have been told now that it's on the north side of the library. So I have to go out there and look for it, I guess. So that's my update. I haven't had a chance to go and walk back and forth on the north side of the library. So,
Well,
Did you get a metal detector? I think the fire station has one of those.
I know, but they said that there was some grass has probably grown over it, but there is a metal plaque on it. So we should be able to find it relatively easy. I don't remember seeing anything on the north side of the library, but
That's the lawnmower.
there's a fellow at the Warren Hotel too that has a metal detector that he's used around South Deerfield.
well, I'll ask about that. But anyway,
I'm going to be very curious because I really did a bunch of looking and I can't find any evidence that we ever had a time capsule. It doesn't appear on any program. There's nothing else in the memorabilia file at PVMA about a time capsule. The only indication of a time capsule that I could come up with was an article written in the Greenfield Recorder in the fall of a grammar school class who created a time capsule out of plastic bottles, which they buried in the yard of the school, which is behind the PVMA museum up there.
well, maybe
So,
where is it? I don't know.
well, I don't know either. I've reached out to a couple other people. They were going to get in touch with other people that might know, but I could not find anyone who had a firsthand knowledge of where the time capsule,
Well,
if it existed or whether it was buried.
And from my point, I would have been 8 years old, but I always stuck in everything. I never heard anyone talk about a time capsule. Never.
really, maybe there isn't one. I don't know. This is what was reported to me, and this is where I'm supposed to look. And I just haven't had a chance to go out there and look back.
And if you don't do it with metal detection, you can do it with the sonar that we do in the graveyards.
Oh,
We
that's
can
a good idea.
We can scan it that way to find anything that's not obvious is buried.
The ground penetrating radar.
Yep. Yeah, and we could do that out of University of Connecticut.
Oh, it's like chasing a unicorn. We're sure there's one out there. We just haven't seen it. right?
People see me going back and forth, that's what I'm looking for.
But I mean, this comes back to other things that I brought up at your meetings, and thank you for always having the Friends of Deerfield here, is when we think about this time capsule, this time around, where are we going to bury it? How are we going to bury it? Because, I've asked whether, we have this stainless steel thing that will weld shut, and then we'll put it inside a Pelican protected case. Do we need to put it in a cement vault? Given 50 years with earthquakes do happen in Deerfield. 3 of them have happened in my life. And so, that's the question we need to ask. Because why do I ask that? It's just to get cost parameters of what it's going to take to
Seal it with new plastic after the Pelican.
Well,
But I mean,
Yeah.
time is marching on here, so we need to make plans and cost estimates, right? That's
well,
why
I think they're gonna dig up for the new library edition. So it makes sense to have it somewhere near the new edition. because it will already be dug up. And then you can, you know, put a plate on it or some kind of marker and then have grass around it.
Well, that's the other thing
Yes.
too, is what
Yeah.
kind of marker do you want, so that we can estimate the cost of that. All those costs have gone up, frankly, for all that bronze and granite and stuff like that. And you do have a 1973 marker in front of Tilton. So it might be an ideal location to kind
Yeah.
of keep them together and create a little, I don't know, monument center, or what do you want to call it there?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually two there.
Yep.
There's one in the right in front of it, which is a geodesic marker. And then there's the memorial marker for the Cognawaga visit and the reconciliation. There's some shrubbery and there's a granite marker there too. So, I mean, it seems to me that that's a central fitting place that could be used for a time capsule.
And I think, Carolyn, that's your concept of town campus, is that whole area there. So it makes sense. But, you know, I mean, I'll be honest with you, you know, when I do financials at the end of June, I want to estimate what's going to come the second half of the year.
Well, that's what I was really glad about the Treehouse Half Marathon, because it sort of balances our calendar. And I wasn't sure what PVMA would be able to pull off in October for, you know, they were going to do follow-up kind of thing, beer fest, immigration kind of thing. And so this is making me feel good that there are some still events coming in our calendar. And then we could figure out, you know, spring of 24, we could be planning our, you know, time capsule then, because then we'll go through all the year. Unless we dig up the spot, you know, before the ground freezes and then cover it.
Well, if you do it late in the fall, Carolyn, I mean, we may have enough time. Most of the events, I've got three talks planned for the fall. But other than that, no outside event yet. But I think that the half marathon is an ideal thing to, as you say, a real fitting filler for that time frame. I understand Sue is trying to round up enough softball players to meet the challenge from Northfield for the game, and I think it's in August, isn't it?
It's in August.
Yeah. So it will continue, and I think we may find other potential events to host and incorporate into what we've already got planned right now. I think we're all kind of breathing heavily to get past the June 18th
I know.
time frame. Once that's, you know, over and winding down, you can begin to think about something else, but it's taken a huge amount of effort.
For this time zone, these are letters that kids wrote to themselves.
Oh, cool.
Okay, the day they did the cancellations.
Excellent.
And so I have a bunch of them here to put into the time capsule.
Oh, that's wonderful.
One of the things I just suggested today to Deerfield and to PVMA is that they in fact make or get stamped envelopes like Rocky's just showing, not with the letters in them, but to actually later on sell them in the gift shops, because they're going to be a collector's item in terms of philatelic history. And you know, it's like 85 cents a piece to make, but they're only going to be available until the 6th of June.
Yep. And
then nobody can officially use the stamp after that. So time is passing, and we still, I think they're a good item. We may want to make some more ourselves and give them out as gifts to people or souvenirs to people or whatever. But they're going to be a unique souvenir.
Peter, when you go to the post office, do they have it the pre-stamped envelope. You have to have your own envelope. And then then you have to
But
put
you-
a stamp on it?
But you can, I mean, go to the post office, you buy an envelope that has a stamp on it. And then they stamp it.
Okay, so you
You
can
have
buy
to
the
ask for it.
envelope.
You have
Okay.
to ask for it though, so, you know, they'll
Right.
automatically put it through something else, but, and that makes
Stan,
it even more.
Dan,
useful.
what's your experience with that? Because you've done that. You mailed me something with a stamp.
Oops, Stan, you're muted.
You unmute, Stan.
My experience was very bad. First of all, I went to South Deerfield for that. They had no clue what I was talking about. They had to go in the back room and find it in some hidden drawer. So finally, I just waited and waited, and finally they found it. And the two people, the clerks, had no clue what I was even talking about in South Deerfield.
That doesn't surprise me for South Deerfield because there's a new postman. And he did not like the fact that he was left with having to deal with that postmark as the old postmaster walked out the door. But getting one in Old Deerfield, I think, is going to be a lot simpler.
That's easier. Yes, the lady's always at the counter there.
Robin's wonderful. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
Well, for the record, they all work for us.
I
So
know.
let's get it right at both places.
It's just the stamp.
But we do have, Chris, just so you know, we've got about, I would guess, 25 of each left from the open house that we had on that Sunday. That we didn't give out there. So we have those in reserve that we could use for whatever purpose, you know, people feel appropriate. I think they make a nice, I gave a copy of each one of them to Melissa Perot, who planted the garden in front of the church.
Mhm.
All the plants, so, and she was delighted. So it may be that kind of a gift that doesn't cost really anything anymore, but we can give them out and people will keep them and feel appreciated that whatever they did is recognized.
No, that's a great idea. If you have a short list to give them out. I wrote the checks for those already. They're paid for, so let's use them as we see fit.
Okay. If you need any, I have them here at the house. All right. Moving on, post-parade event updates. The only item that I think we had, well, there was a question of trash and there was a question of the lighting. And I think Marie checked out the lighting part of it, at least late in the evening, and you could still make your way around there, around the school by 8:30. So it didn't seem to be as pressing as we had anticipated early on, but I don't know how other people feel about that.
Susie, you've had some experience. What was, you were worried about that?
Well, I was, because I know there's not a lot of lighting around the school, but if, it's gonna be light later in another month too, so if she thought it was fine now, it should probably be fine then. But there,
So in terms of my discussions with like Kevin Scarborough too, on this is like, and he was discussing with Chief Pachurik because probably John has more access to lighting than even Kevin does. So we're gonna like gauge everything a week ahead of time and make a decision because, at that point, we know what we're dealing with.
Okay, so Susie, are you all set with the post-parade events? It's,
I met with Stanley during the week, and we kind of decided where everything was gonna be. Everything is going to be at first they had spoken about being behind and back, but they thought that was going to be too far away at the pavilion. And so we talked about putting everything right there by the softball field and in the big field right there. And I think there's gonna be plenty of room there.
Okay.
I did, Pat will be, I don't know, Peter, has Pat contacted you about the bills? Cause I did submit, give her all the bills to submit. And she was gonna do that in the next warrant. And then give me the checks. So I
Okay,
can pay
who has the, Sue, who has the bills?
Kroll.
Oh, Pat?
Pat
Pat,
Kroll,
Okay,
oh,
so
yes,
Pat has your bills then.
yes.
Okay,
And
okay. I can-
she's gonna submit them for the next warrant and then they'll give me the checks because I have to pay the vendors that day.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I've been working with Pat for the bills and the warrant and that sort of thing, so it seems to work pretty well. Holly's just joined us.
Well,
hi, Holly.
Hello.
The only question I had, Sue, I just wanted to make sure again, and I sorry to keep bugging you on this, only because I had the back and forth with the insurance company. The bounce houses have their own separate policy, right?
Yes, they will. They are getting a new insurance company next week, I believe. They're changing insurance companies. And then she's gonna send me that additional, will be added as an additional insured, the town.
Perfect, perfect. The only reason I was concerned is because of talking to the insurance agent about ringing the bells. She said that they stopped covering bounce houses, so you just had to make sure we have a certificate of insurance.
Yep, we should be all set.
Perfect. Thank you so much for following up on that. I'm sorry that I was bugging you about that, but it was a really concern.
It's always, insurance is always a concern.
Yep,
It's one of my biggest concerns all the time.
yeah, I know. But thank you for following up on that.
oh yeah, the other thing I'd like to say is that Susie and Stan have been doing a great job working together. So we're kind of in sync and I really feel good about what they're doing. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. So could you just go over it again? So we'll make sure that, because we were still concerned about trash, right? Or did somebody work that out? So I wanted to make sure that I followed up on that. Because we should be able to collect that and then run it over to the transfer station and not have it laying around. So there shouldn't be, hopefully nobody will have problems with that. Stan, did you and Susie work that out with Kevin, or is that still an issue?
It's not an issue. Mr. Miller said he would take care of everything. I've asked for the orange bag so that when it's thrown away, we don't have to use our own orange bag. So and he's gonna deliver everything with cones to block off the roadway also.
Oh, perfect, perfect. That's really nice. Thank you. I didn't know who the contact person was, so it's gonna be Chris Miller. Okay.
Stu, just so I've got it corrected, you're gonna have most of the events in front of the grammar school, is that right, rather than out at the pavilion?
Not in front, to the side where the
The-
softball field is.
Oh, where the softball field is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But They only thought it was that would be too far away if they put out back by the pavilion and they wouldn't hear the music or
Yeah.
anything.
well, I
So,
think part of that with the lighting is the street lights down there, so if it's over on that side in the area, it's probably less dark there than if it were behind the building.
mhm.
Yeah,
I also did, Friends of Deerfield did send out a letter to all the 5 or 6 neighbors in the front of, on that street, just informing them what is happening. So it's not a total shock when they see, music and horses and whatever.
okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, turning my page here. Well, Holly, as long as if you joined us, can you give us an update on the parade work group?
We're extremely busy. We're ramping up our meetings to weekly, and then the week before the parade, it's gonna be every night. We've got our task list, anywhere from setting up porta potties at various locations to trash receptacles at the staging areas. So we're sure to, not leave any bad footprint on the town. We've arranged for bathrooms. We're gonna do signage for that. After the Memorial Day parade, we have signage that's going up around town to give the date and time of the parade. And then in various locations, we're also going to do the parade route, so people will be aware of where the route is. Trying to think of the myriad of things. We've got, by our best guesstimation, a close to 2-hour parade. We're judging that based on Sunderland, who had close to the amount of entries that we have. Again, I can't do a total comparison of every widget of what they had versus what we have, but they basically counted a float, a car, a band as a one. And we're kind of neck and neck. They ran an hour 53 for their parade. And I think we're going to be in that neck of the woods. We're honestly hoping not to cross the threshold of 2 hours. I think that's probably about the max of time that people would not get stir crazy. So we're trying to, sprinkle around some fun things throughout the parade to keep the attention there. I had a few questions. Carolyn, maybe you can help. I heard that the select board was going to be on the float, but then there was a question of cars versus a float. Do you know what has been settled? Because we need to work that into our plan.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We're gonna use Galinsky's 48-foot trailer.
Okay.
And I had been working with Diane trying to figure out how we can get kids participate to decorate it. And so hopefully it will not rain. Because we're gonna have kids do poster, like 4th, 5th, and 6th graders do either happy birthday to Deerfield or landscapes and paint them. And then we're gonna put them like 3 down on a side. So there'll be
That
like,
sounds really nice. I like that, to highlight different things about the town.
right, and the kids will sign, either they'll do it individually or they'll do it in group as a group project, but they'll sign their names. And I was gonna have it stapled to like your rug, your wide weave rug backing. And
Yep.
so, and then we could just fold them up. It's staple gun them somehow to the trailer and the fencing. Well, we're going to have some kind of railing around, and then so they'd be 3 down, and then both at the ends. But then you could just take off the woven banners that they're stapled to, fold them together, and we're going to save them somehow so that the kids will be able to look back.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that idea.
Well,
I like that.
Diane is a good person. She's like, what if it rains? And I'm like thinking, well, if we have clear plastic, we could wrap, the
product I forwarded you, the earlier email, is a waterproof. It's a corrugated plastic made in USA for signage.
It's not going to rain anyway, so we don't have to worry.
I know. That's what I said.
Yeah.
We're going to have a day just like the weekend of the bell ringing. So it's going to be all good. Diane already told me she's channeling the good weather gods.
Well,
She already put in the word, huh?
I don't want to figure out how to, make it rainproof, but I was trying to figure out some way to preserve what the kids did so that we could save it and they could go back and, we could hang them somewhere else. And
Yeah, no,
There's-
I like that idea. I love having the kids involved, and after our Founder's Day weekend and watching the kids with the various elements, it was really fun. It made for a fun time.
I have to say, Diane is the one that inspired me with all those bells. It was just so happy and so wonderful. And I was
Yep.
trying to figure out how we could do the same thing and have something saved for the kids to go back and look at
Yep.
50 years. So
Okay, that's
That-
great. Excellent.
And then
Um,
just my comment from 2,000 miles away, Diane, I had fantastic reviews that came back to me in Texas.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Yeah, it was a great weekend.
I
It
like
was.
I like to see smiles.
Yeah.
it was so
That was
cheerful
fun.
and happy. And
Yeah, and
So-
it was multi-generational because you saw the grandparents who were there on Friday because the parents were working, and then the parents were with the kids over the weekend, and it was just nice, just a good variety.
and Diane had the book sign-in book, and we had families sign together, and it was
Yeah.
just, it was really, really nice. So
Yeah.
so we're trying to do the same thing.
Yep, so we're gonna have good weather. Diane told me she's working on it. Carolyn, we had a question. So for bathrooms along the parade route, we have Holy Family Church and Holy Name of Jesus. Both are gonna allow us use of their bathrooms and parking lots. And where else do we have? We're doing porta potties in the staging areas at the end of the parade at Frontier. We have the library is going to stay open, so their bathroom will be available. Caldwell Banker is allowing access to their restroom in their office. They're going to leave it open. And we were wondering, can the town hall be open for restrooms?
You know, I think so. Let me figure out, I'm sure it can. I'm sure-
Okay, all right, just get back to me on that because
Yes, I
um,
will.
I'll circle back to my committee. All right, I'm gonna just put to check. You know, it may mean everything's got to be locked in all the other doors, so people would only have access to the restrooms, but
It could be that we just have someone there because the moving all the, our big screen audio stuff.
oh,
and-
that's true. Yeah, just to have somebody kind of keep track of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
I just, maybe it would be easier just to have someone assigned there.
okay. Let's see.
Holly, there's also a porta potty behind the Congregational Church. It's set up for the ball fields.
Yes, that's on the elementary school area by the ball fields, right? It's kind of converging.
Well, yeah, it's, I mean, it's the parking area between the old senior center and the church. If you
Yeah.
go straight back on the right, there's
Yes,
a porta potty right there.
right. So, but if you're at the elementary school and you're at the ball fields, it's at the back left then. It must be the same
No,
one.
elementary
It's right
school. I'm
behind
talking-
town hall.
I'm
Oh, there's
talking
another
about,
one behind town hall?
Yes, I have up for the baseball field, right behind town hall, there's a porta potty there that belongs to the rec department. I
Oh,
can
good.
leave that, I
Okay.
can leave that up until. we're done.
Okay, excellent. So what Kelly's gonna do is just a little downtown map where, kind of all the restrooms are here and parking's here. So she'll be able to post that and share it out on social media. So she's working on that right now. Carolyn, some of us from the parade work group are gonna come to the select board meeting on the 31st.
Okay,
And just do a quick little update with all of you. And Casey had mentioned that it was being asked for. And we're just asking, could we be at the early part of the meeting?
I'm
Because,
pretty sure I think we have an appearance at 6:15, but I will try to get you as close to, I would just have you come at 6, okay?
that's what we would prefer because we actually have a parade work group meeting that night. And
Okay.
we've got lots to do. So if we could get to our tasks, get an update to you. I guess worst case scenario, we'll be in another room and somebody can tell us when you're ready, but we would just prefer check mark, move on to the other stuff. And so
I
that would
think
be,
that would be wonderful, Holly, because I think people are getting really excited, and to have that out there about what's actually happening will be.
Yep, yep.
feel
okay.
excited.
And that's on May 31st, Holly?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yep. What else? I had one other question, and because I don't know what protocol is, because we have a lot of work over the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be some long meeting times. Is it appropriate, or can we do any kind of food purchasing that could be part of the parade budget for the group as we're meeting? Because people are like running in with their takeout suppers, and I just thought if we could do pizza or something some night, but I didn't know if that was okay with the budgets.
I
got no
don't have
problems
a
with it.
problem with it. If you want,
Problem.
Holly, we could vote. I would make a motion that the steering committee support purchasing of pizza or along that lines for the work group, the parade work group, for the next few meetings. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I didn't want to breach any protocol, and I've had probably 4 to 6 meetings here, but our group is getting a little bigger with more volunteers coming in, and I don't know, somehow a slice of pizza might be some added incentive to get a few more warm bodies, but the numbers are growing. I think we're, if I could just check this spreadsheet really quick.
I made the motion, so if you can
Yeah,
get it.
so Carolyn, I would suggest you make the motion up to like $1,500 or $2,000. So
Oh,
there's no,
I think
no,
a couple $100, don't you feel?
I know, but just cap it so that there's no issue.
Right, okay, well, Holly, would you feel comfortable with $200 or $250? How many meetings?
It honestly, anything where I could just say to everybody, hey, we're just gonna have pizza next meeting, and you don't have to worry
Well,
about supper.
How much were you thinking of?
I didn't even know if it would be allowed.
Oh, okay. I think you're right, Chris, it should be a cap. So
Yeah.
Holly, we're gonna have a couple more meetings, so I would just say $200, and if
Okay,
you need more, then we'll make another motion.
okay, up to 200.
That's not enough for a lobster.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a small meeting, Rocky, for that one.
Diane, would you second that?
Oh, I'll definitely second that. I'm actually thinking we should probably they will probably meet more than we will. So
Absolutely.
capping it at 200, I actually prefer Chris's motion that we cap it at 1,500 as an all-inclusive until they're done, until they need to be, and knowing Holly will not go crazy and order from Whately Inn or anything like that. We'll,
We don't have time to eat that kind of food.
Yeah, I motion that we allow the parade working group to use up to $1,500 for food, beverages, whatever's necessary for lengthy meetings.
I will second that, and I will also withdraw my motion. So,
I just amended it.
okay.
Whatever. All right, do we have a second?
Well,
You did.
Diane, you want to second it?
I thought I proposed it.
Oh, all right, well,
he's proposing it, and I seconded it.
all
I'm
right.
in favor.
All those in favor?
Carol and I,
Can I vote?
Yes.
you can vote, yes.
I'm allowed to vote for this?
Yes,
Okay, then I'm
Yes.
voting. Aye, Holly.
it'd be terrible if you voted no.
I think your slice
Well,
of
I didn't
pizza
know
is
if I
under
was allowed to
$25.
Thank you. Okay, what else? For Friends of Deerfield, I know I got back to you on your lineup and your requests. I forgot to mention in my return message that it's okay for signage on your minibus. So you wanted to list donors. you're doing a banner and then you're also gonna list them on that minibus behind the mummers?
Okay,
Is that-
so if we can do the donors that were specific to the mummers, and we can do it on the side of the minibus, and I don't have the dimensions from Diane Gripko yet, but I think it'll work.
Okay,
We'll just do that on each side of the bus,
okay,
and we'll have it decorated otherwise.
yeah,
The
no, I think that's
minibus
fine.
is- The minibus is because there could be some older participants in the parade and they have to
Yep.
take a break.
Yep.
And so it's air conditioned. Diane told me it's air conditioned. So that would avoid us having to do any kind of sponsored banner in front of the mummers,
Okay,
right?
So you-
Because I have it on the bus. We have it on the bus, so we're good, right? And then
Okay, so-
the mummers have their own banner that
Yeah.
they use every parade, and they're bringing 2 people to carry that.
okay, so you said sponsor banner plus the attachment on the vehicle. Now you're saying just on the vehicle.
If we can do it on the vehicle, we avoid 2 other people having to hold a banner up front.
Sure, okay, that's good.
So that's what our goal is. And that's what we're trying to do on the float part too, is all the main Friends of Deerfield sponsors will put on either side of the Antonellis vehicle float. And that'll mean that we don't need another 2 people carrying, and it can be seen from the sidewalks, which is
Perfect.
which is
Yep.
honorable to I mean, we've had great sponsorship. I mean, we really
Okay.
have. And so
Okay.
we want to respect all those entities
Okay.
and give them their due. And really facing the sidewalks is more important than in the front.
Okay, yeah, no,
And
that,
and
I
the
think,
only banner we'll have up, Holly, up front is Friends of Deerfield, and we will put underneath all the current and former board members because they worked their butt off.
okay,
That's what we'll do because, but the issue is I saw the emails floating around today and sorry, I had other appointments, but we need to all be together because I'm putting the mummers under our insurance policy. They are
Well-
under they're like the town of Deerfield, they're additional insured. And
okay,
also, some of the people that shelled out thousands of dollars for the mummers will be marching with the Friends of Deerfield.
okay,
We cannot separate. And I talked
Okay.
to Stan earlier today, and I said, Stan, I know you want us up front because we got to set up everything. The caterer can set up things for us. And then Kathy Thomas Catering, she has manpower to do that. We don't have to be there right away.
okay,
And Stan's really good at all the details of just telling them how to set up the elementary school. And if he tells them how to do it, it'll be done. And you can put us anywhere you want in the parade.
okay,
But I don't think we want to mess around with, when the mummers say they have this 7 to 8 minute performance, they've done this around the world, around the country.
Mhm.
And I don't think we want to mess with that. They're professionals. It's like, I want to trust them. It'll probably be a great show. I don't want to slow down your parade, but at the same time, I want to defer to the professionals. This is a 100-year-old band. They've been around the block. And so I think we have to defer to them and their discretion. And I've said the same thing in terms of song choice. They're going to play all different songs all the way, and they're like, it's your choice because you're the experts. We're not the experts. And so I think that, you position them where you want, but they have to be combined with the Friends of Deerfield because I have specific mummers sponsors marching with us.
okay.
And that
So-
would be very disrespectful to separate.
Okay, no, that, I can
And
understand
they're-
your point.
And they're covered by our insurance. I did not go I'll call it the bureaucracy route of all the paperwork because we filled out all the paperwork. And I have a simple contract with them and they're covered by our insurance. So I don't want, it's kind of a relationship thing where you handshake and do that type of stuff. we don't need their credentials. We know they're coming up here on a commercial bus line, and that all that liability insurance is covered. They're covered by ours as a marching band. And by the way, with our insurance company, we literally wrote marching in the insurance policy, marching participants. It's like we wrote the different types of events Friends of Deerfield were doing, and we listed that as marching band participants.
Okay,
So I don't think we need anything more, and I don't want to alienate anyone down in Philadelphia, because I told them the history of this town. And, you know, they've learned a lot. If they get here early, I'm going to send them to Old Deerfield, to be perfectly honest, and show them that. And quickly, you know, tour, I'll jump on the bus with them and go up there and tell them about Old Deerfield. And then we'll go from there. But I think I don't want more paperwork. I've done all the paperwork behind the scenes in terms of contract, insurance, other insured. I've done all that. Additional,
okay, well, as
like the
far
town
as,
of Deerfield.
as far as participants in the parade, I'm following what our town attorneys and what the select board and the administration have said. And so having a participation agreement that waives any responsibility for Deerfield is what we've asked of everybody. And so,
So I'm going to ask the select board, and since Carolyn is representative of the select board, that I think they have a meeting tomorrow night. I'm just going to ask them, we go with what we have, and they waive whatever other requirements are required.
Right, Chris, why don't you just send me that info and I'll put it on the agenda as an item not anticipated, although I think we have a placeholder because we have been waiving every meeting, whoever.
we've been waiving the need for insurance, the
Right.
certificate of insurance. We have not been waiving people signing a hold harmless except for people who hold office in our state. Those are the ones that you have made waivers for us. So I don't know why we have many other bands coming to the table and they're being paid from Deerfield partially because money was approved at the last steering committee meeting. So partially they're being paid by the town of Deerfield. And I think it's almost not fair to every other band that's participating that has diligently done all the paperwork we asked for. And I will defer to the select board on how they want to handle it, but it's just, we were given a set of rules, and let me tell you, our set of rules were met with a lot of opposition from a lot of people, but we muddled through and we followed what we were asked to do.
No, so look, I'm not going to disagree with that. Let's deal with it at the select board meeting and go from there.
Send me what you have, Chris, and I'll look at it and, make sure that we have coverage. That's all we have to worry about. Okay.
I mean, at a minimum, I think having the hold harmless signed for the town of Deerfield would be not too big of an ask.
Understood.
Yeah. And everybody's.
So related to this though is, okay, so part of our negotiation and this collaboration that we created with this band from Philadelphia is that, they have customary and they have, decent, like every band, musical equipment, is if it rains, the contingency that we negotiated is that they do 3 30-minute performances at Frontier Regional School that afternoon. And so given that it's a 2-hour parade and you go forward with the parade, it's, you can envision that somebody that's at the end of the parade route could go watch them first. And then people that watch the front end of the parade can go later you know, I mean, so, I mean, it's very rare to get this type of agreement as a backup. But,
I
but
think that's,
Holly-
I think that's standard with them though, because I've known of the Mummers for years. I mean, I followed them when I was a kid, so.
But the question I have for the group is, do you have those situations set up with other bands? Because I know you got regional bands from New England. So do we need to start like collaborating and connecting in terms of if there's rain where more people will not be able to march? Do we need to like set up a schedule, you know, at Frontier of how this is going to unfold if you have other bands that you've negotiated this with? Because it's a logistical issue at that point.
Some of
Nope.
our bands are on floats or wagons, so they would not be in consideration. We have,
They're covered. They're covered.
well, they're on a vehicle.
Physically covered.
Well,
They're,
a lot of
they're-
times people will do, you know, like a 10 by 10 tent up on whatever.
okay.
So, I mean, that would, you know, be, but we do have marching bands. Right now, I can bring this back to our committee. We have 1,001 things that we're trying to tick off for the parade, but we'll toss this about at our next meeting.
Yeah, so just so everyone understands, tentatively, we decided on 3 30-minute shows starting at 2 p.m. and then with 20-minute intervals in between for the rest, for the performers. So if there's going to be other bands that have to do something similar, we'll have to rearrange the schedule. But we could even do that at the front end of the week based on the forecast.
I'm trying,
So go ahead, Carolyn.
I was just gonna say, at Hatfields, it did rain and everybody ended up marching, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just
Yep.
marched. anyway,
They
'cause-
they muscled through it.
Yeah.
Actually, Hatfield was a moving parade. So I don't think there was marching. I think it was 7 miles. And I think people are on floats or flatbeds.
Yeah,
for,
no, it was raining that day.
it
and-
was raining and they muscled through because my brother is in a band and he played in Hatfield and he was under a 10 by 10.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what they did. All right.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, so just as best as I understand, the Mummers will use their costumes from this year's New Year's parade.
wow, that's
Okay.
good.
And so, you know, it obviously it can't get wet. All this stuff cannot get wet. It's so expensive. And so, you
So-
know, it's a little different than some other bands. But
Yeah.
I'm sure Holly and Kelly have other bands lined up that are similar. There might be.
Yeah, we do have, you know, costumed bands that are definitely, so here's the difficult rub. Parade goes forward. The Mummers decide they're not going to march. The parking lot is reserved for the parade. So people will not have parking at Frontier. I'm just throwing it out there because that's a situation. We're going to try to work at our numbers and parking spaces and where things are going to be so we can see maybe we could free up just that right-hand lot, but I can't guarantee you that until we've got a map out now. We've got our order getting created and we've got to map out how many cars we will anticipate and where we're going to put them.
Yep. But, you know, some of this stuff is, you know, you're doing all this great planning and everyone always knows with a great plan, something hits the fan right at the end. And so
Oh, yeah.
having a plan actually is the basis for solving the unexpected, right?
Yep,
And
totally.
so what we'll do is we'll just pivot that week. We'll just watch the forecast and then we'll figure out whether we need to commandeer Yankee Candle headquarters or something, and then shuttle them back to Frontier. Spectators, I mean. And I think it'll work out, but as long as we have a few days, we can make anything happen. We can make anything happen with a few. Look, you know, actually, we can make anything happen with 1 day's notice.
Oh, let's.
I
hope.
know. Like, just, you know, let's just, we don't want to panic or anything, but I'm telling you, you can make anything happen with 1 day notice in that time.
Carolyn?
Yes.
I mean, not Carolyn, Holly, I apologize. Holly, one last request. You're having a lot of meetings. Can you take some pictures of your group?
Of the meetings?
Yeah, take pictures of you people. There's a lot of stuff going on. Just take pictures of the people and maybe you can give it to FCAT later.
Actually, I think that's a wonderful idea. I don't know
Cool,
why.
that's very cool.
That is
Okay.
really cool. Especially as you are putting together the last stages and you have stuff laid out and things like that. That would be really, really good addition to our storyboard.
Okay,
That's trying to collect pictures for the town report coming up next year too, so if you got committee pictures, that's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I know we had some good ones of setting up the Jubilee and stuff like that. That was wonderful.
Well, I think there's some good pictures that came out of the Founder's Day weekend too. I mean, just we've had some personal ones. Marie put out a request on Facebook for families who had taken the pictures of their kids ringing the bell to send us copies. So we have some of those too. But I think you're right. You know, I was delighted that I haven't seen that many smiling kids' faces in a long time, but they were really getting into it.
even the big kids.
Even the big kids.
Even the big.
And sometimes even the bigger
Yes.
kids.
They were,
Yep.
yes.
Like Fred Becker was having a great time.
Oh, I laughed over that video the whole time with the kid going up the bell.
Yeah.
Just chortled.
Well, it was a great idea too, to drop that rope down through the ceiling to be right in front of the door too. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's the perfect venue for having people take pictures and stuff
Yeah.
too.
No, that was good, for sure. I don't
Alright.
have anything else unless people have questions for me.
No, well, no more questions. Friends of Deerfield, do you have an independent report out, Chris, or?
Yeah, so just a quick update. I mean, really, the parade participation in this combination with the mummers was one aspect of it. We covered that. I think we're all set up for everything. You know, the recreation committee is coordinating really well with Stan on our board. And so we'll be set for Deerfield Elementary School for the evening of the 17th. If we have a rain date situation for the fireworks, because I've explained this to the whole group before, in Massachusetts, you can't set up or launch fireworks if it's raining. You can't do that, it's state law. So our rain date is the 18th Sunday, and we will definitely have the DJ music on Sunday night, just as create an ambiance and environment, right, for it. And so, because, you know, I mean, if it's raining, probably going to be low participation post-parade stuff. I mean, I think that's just my gut feeling about that. But so I think we have everything covered. And all I would say is, like, I mean, the Friends of Deerfield, you know, will collaborate, work with you any way you want. You need any help, raise a hand, etc. We have, you know, volunteers too that we solicit. But, you know, I'll be on the ground physically that entire week before that weekend. And so, you know, we're going to get our hands dirty and get things done, right? And so we'll be able to work through, especially when we look at weather forecasts, et cetera, you know, we'll be able to pivot. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. because we're on the ground and we're gonna be there working our butts off with you guys. And we'll get some of the teams involved and stuff as volunteers. And I think it'll be fine. And the only other update is we purchased 4 350th Deerfield 3 feet by 5 feet flags, and they will go up around the South Deerfield Commons. And so we'll probably have to switch out. I've talked to John Sizz and Kevin Scarborough. We'll have to switch out a few flags, American flags, but the blue that is going to be on these flags matches an American flag blue. Everything will be coordinated, and it'll be up before Memorial Day.
Okay, and where are they gonna be, Chris? Because we just talked to the fire department about the flags staying up for us, and they didn't say anything about any other flags.
Yeah, so I know the fire department has historically put them up. I think Kevin has a new bucket, probably safer, so he's probably going to work with Bill Swayze and use the right equipment to get everything up the safest way. And then Kevin will just switch out 4 of them strategically around the commons in South Deerfield.
Okay, and how big are they?
3 by 5, they match every other flag that is along the street. Everything matches. Everything matches. And the flags are the 350th logo on one side and the town seal on the other side.
Oh, that's really.
I mean,
attractive.
they're pretty expensive, so we couldn't do it all down the streets, to be honest with you. But we voted as a board to do it for at least the center of the town.
Really nice, Chris. Thank you.
Is that something you could share a picture of with everybody at some point?
They might be
I
on
have
Thursday.
the proofs, but they're already produced. I think they're gonna go up by Thursday or Friday.
Oh, okay.
I'm picking them up tomorrow morning sometime and giving them right to Kevin. So maybe you go down to the Kevin's office and see them.
So the 350 logo you said is one side and the town seal on the other?
Absolutely.
Okay,
We
all right.
thought that was the most appropriate. We actually didn't think the Friends of Deerfield from a historical standpoint would be as appropriate.
No, I think that sounds really nice. So there's 4 of them?
It'll be 4 of them, so I don't know. Stan's been doing all the surveillance of the commons and where the hardware was, et cetera. But Kevin has purchased additional hardware, and the Friends of Deerfield will pay for all that hardware if it needs to go up.
I'll take one of the flags when it's all over with to put it in the time capsule.
That'd be great.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh my gosh. I hadn't thought of that. We gotta keep these ideas. Rocky, make sure.
Yeah, Rocky, you can fold the flag pretty tight, so it's not going to take a lot of space.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main update from Friends of Deerfield, unless Alex or Stan has something else to add.
No, I'm all set.
Because the
All right,
time
folks.
capsule just got mentioned and I had to dial in late because I was at a class. Was the old time capsule found?
No. We're still looking. In fact, there's even a question about whether there even is an old time capsule.
Well, latest information I have is it's on the north side of the library. So I
Or
gotta,
did you talk with Pam Hodgkins at all today?
Did I?
Yes,
Oh, no.
because I think she had either a person for you to talk to or an idea. I'll follow up with her and I'll get the info to you.
Thanks
well,
very much. Yeah, good.
Molly, there was supposed to be a metal plate on it.
Yep,
The grass might have grown over it, and that's why it's not completely visible. But otherwise, it's supposed to be on the, from my understanding, the north side of the library.
It's probably
Okay.
not very far from the stone marker that's there now, Carolyn, if it's there.
Yeah, it could very well be. It was referenced as North Main Street, and then we narrowed it down to north side of the library. on the
Yeah,
side-
because I went through the booklet from 50 years ago, the nice spiral bound booklet.
Yeah.
And I every page I kept looking to see, like, it's got to be somewhere notated, but it wasn't in there.
Well, anything that was in the program materials, the newsletters I went through, there were six newsletters for that
Yep.
celebration. But the other thing is, they ended their celebration after the parade. So it wasn't a year-long celebration the way ours is.
Right.
So all of the published materials
Oh, right. We're ahead
Really-
of.
really talked about what had
Right.
gone on up to the summer.
Yep. Yep.
But my guess would be that if there was a time capsule, it would have been in the fall sometime after all the events are over with, and I could find nothing at PVMA. There's a whole carton full of memorabilia from that 300th, and there's nothing in there about a time capsule.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean it wasn't there. We'll find out sooner or later. But I have a probe that can be used to look. So Carolyn, if you're in the mood for it and you want to walk around the yard, give me a holler, because we can both start poking rods in the ground to see if we can find it.
I figured that what I could do is I was gonna go down the selectmen's meeting before selectmen's meeting next week. And walk back and forth and see if I could find something. So maybe we can make a date, like at 5.
Okay. We don't need it right off, but it would be useful to know. I mean, if we can find it, maybe one of the things, I mean, it is the intent, if we can find it, are we gonna dig it up and open it up? Or are we gonna leave it there for another 50 years?
No, you're gonna open it up.
You open it.
Open it.
You
You
have
open
to.
it. Yeah.
So if you open it up, then we already have an existing hole that we can bury the new one in.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I
And
just
so,
figured that there would be so much construction around the library that somewhere around the library is where we would put the new.
well,
one.
you don't want all the construction in the back and stuff. You don't want to put it out there. You really want it in some place
By
that
the
people
sidewalk.
can say, oh, there's a time capsule here.
Well, yeah, to that point I brought up earlier, we didn't know what kind of marker you would want to put on this. Because it's, to be perfectly honest, costs money to put markers on them, and we need to know the budget for that.
Well, Chris, one of the alternatives is, I was just over in the Sugarloaf Cemetery the other day. And there are a whole bunch of marble slabs that are 2.5 feet long by about 10 inches wide, lying in the bushes on the edge of that cemetery that
Really?
don't mark anything. And we could take one of those and set it up
Gotta ask permission.
over the time capsule. You're muted.
I'm
can-
chuckling a little bit because you don't get into removing things from cemeteries and state.
Grave robber.
They've already been
This is
removed.
a
Could
big
be a
issue.
name on the other
Big issue.
side.
It's not that, it's not.
We need
that
to
they
find where
mark it.
those go in Sugarloaf Cemetery and put them
Yeah.
back. That's
Well,
what I
we
do
can,
at Laurel
because-
Hill.
An
What
errant
happened is
snowplow
that
something.
the person who did the cemetery redo apparently moved them over there because they didn't have a clue where they went. They're
Ooh,
not marked. There's nothing on them. There's no carving or anything on them. They're plain slabs of marble. I suspect what they were the footstones for the larger memorial stones.
could be.
I
But-
have to look at it when I'm there
Yeah.
in June. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what they are.
Well, there's 6 or 8 of them over there. They're just scattered in the bushes down on the fence.
But actually, an idea, Chris, instead of a brass marker, perhaps a stone like from one of the local gravestone sellers would probably be easier to put in the ground and easier to find in 50 years than a brass plaque.
Yeah, and it's granite is more durable than anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah, that might be a better
We-
idea.
We do it that way. I think they do.
We can get a big field boulder. I mean, just, something that's that big, just a rounded field boulder that you're not going to inscribe, but it's not going to disappear either.
Yeah,
I feel that if we're gonna put a marker up, it should be, and by the library, it should be that same small upright marker, have them matching.
mhm.
Absolutely.
You don't wanna like hodgepodge everything together.
Yeah.
The uniformity of something is very important. They both are similar. That's my opinion.
Yep,
Yeah, and so the Friends of Deerfield in the next couple of weeks will be cleaning all of those stones in South Deerfield.
well, that's really nice. Oh,
Chris,
But leveraging the learnings we have from the cemeteries.
is somebody gonna be pruning the tree in the cemetery in the center of town? That so badly has suckers coming out of the bottom of it?
Okay, so we'll put that on the list. We'll get that done. And also Holly asked before, that there be some sort of plant or flowers at the entrance to that cemetery. And we'll decorate that. We'll decorate at Tilton Library. And Diane Gripko's taking care of the commons and taking care of Bloody Brook Monument. So all that's in the works.
All right, I believe that ends the agenda items on here. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday at 6:30 on June 6th.
yep. Oh, Peter, you didn't give us an update of your history update.
Oh, okay, well, it's real quick. We've already mentioned, everybody's been hearing good things about Founder's Day, and I have too. I mean, a number of people have just told me how much they enjoyed the whole thing. I've just finished preparing a journal article about Bloody Brook and memorializing how that's been memorialized, which I'll share out with people if they're interested. And I'm also preparing a talk for the Historic Deerfield Summer Speakers Series about the Pecumtuck. And there's going to be 3 talks at Old Deerfield in July. I'm going to give the first one about the Pecumtuck and their political history, if you will.
What date is that, Peter?
That's on July 5th.
Okay. Oh,
think it's-
Wednesday.
I think it's a Wednesday or a Thursday, one of the two.
And so.
And the other ones will be in sequential, the next week and the following week. The second talk is going to be given by Colin Calloway. And he's going to talk about the treaty negotiations in 1735 between the governor of Massachusetts Bay Colony and the delegation of Indians that came over from Caughnawaga and other communities. And then Marge Bruchak is going to be talking about Native Americans, individuals who were present in the various communities in the valley during the 19th century.
Okay, so those are.
So this is like medicinal doctors and that sort of thing.
So this is on the 350th website already?
Should be.
Okay. Oh, I just want to make sure that we get that on the calendar. So that's pretty exciting. Okay. And then you said you had a series in the fall. Do you have any
Yeah.
dates for those yet, Peter?
I don't have a date yet. I'll try and get one together. Kevin Sweeney said he'd give a talk on the French and Indian Wars period. And I want to have one of those be a talk about immigrants and various immigrations, and then use what we're collecting from the oral history projects and use them as exhibits and try and bring some of that together. And it'll be a different kind of an event. It's not going to be strictly speaking, but we want to have an engagement of those people that have been interviewed, and also that we've put together packages about their families and histories and whatever. I'll tell Holly I'm talking with Jan about doing one for the Lankowskis.
Oh, yeah? Cool. That's great. He's so full of family history.
He's so full of everything, but.
Oh my God, Peter.
He was a
Ooh.
classmate of mine, and I'm just giving him a hard time.
Peter, you're being recorded.
That's true. All right, so anyway, so I need to, I'm gonna find one more talk, I think, for the fall, so we have something for like September, October, November, and I'm not sure what we'll do in December.
Okay. All right, I just want to make sure that we get plenty of publicity because they very interesting, and I think the turnouts are pretty incredible, really. I
It's
mean,
been pretty good,
yeah.
and I think it'll get better in the fall too, so. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
You'll make that motion,
Oh, wow.
second. All those in favor?
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Carolyn.